The Genesis G70 is one of the most exciting and involving cars to drive and to be seen driving. It looks great inside and out, and for 2024, there's hardly any changes, but the formula is the same. It's so driver-focused at every trim level, and even though it might not get good gas mileage, you're gonna get a lot of grins out of a car like this. Come with me for a drive, it will not be boring. The G70 came out for 2019, before anyone knew what a Genesis was. We reviewed the very first one, and it won us over. 3 model years later, Genesis changed the face to usher in a brand new design theme across the brand. And now the G70 is one of 8 models. For 2024, there's just as much to love. And the 3.3T we're testing today belongs in one place, a great road. Off the line, Jesus, the G70 just wants to explode. It's kind of crazy that this car, being all-wheel drive, is almost chirping the front tires, and you kind of have to really hang on. All the torque from this engine is just there. There's no limiting, and even in comfort mode, that was sport, it feels very similar when you're putting the throttle down, and that's great, because when you want to move, this car absolutely does it. It does not hesitate at all. It can just be a little challenging sometimes when you just kind of want to put your foot down, and in most cars, you would expect maybe a medium response, but in the G70, it's giving you everything it's got. Ordinarily, the G70 is very smooth shifting. When you put it to sport, and it definitely Sport Plus, what you just felt there, it's definitely rough. And you get a little bark from the upshift. It's not very loud in terms of crackly and, throaty exhausts, but especially at low speeds, I can hear it. It's tuned nicely, it really is. And inside the car too. There are artificial noises that you can turn off. They're off. So what you're hearing right now is the actual engine's intake and the exhaust. The only issue is that when you activate Sport Plus, it deactivates part of the stability control. And this car is already quite a bit of a handful when you're turning and accelerating, so I wish there was an option to leave everything on. On the road, on the highway, the ride is definitely more brittle than other cars in the class, but around turns, this car is really eager. It's absolutely so much fun, too much fun. It really is. I would get into so much trouble with a G70 in this tune, but I also wouldn't want a G70 any other way, because this 6-cylinder engine really captures what this car can do. The 4-cylinder is quick enough, especially now for 2024, posting up healthy 300 horsepower numbers, but none of the fun things I'm doing now would be possible in it. Just like it was when this car came out, the steering is pretty much dead perfect. There's almost no vagueness off center, just enough tingling coming through the column so I can feel the road, truly. The weighting is really nice. It doesn't get overly stiff in the Sport and Sport Plus modes. And because this car is so short and the wheelbase is short, it's very easy to toss around. You kind of wear this car. And a lot of the newer cars, especially even from BMWs, they're getting more distant from the driver. So if you like driving, and you should if you're getting a car like this and not a regular SUV or just a mainstream car, like this really does deliver. You have a lot of fun. Not much body roll. It's just the power in this car. It continues to surprise me. I've driven lots of powerful cars, but this one, ooh, that nice little downshift there, I like that. It's just so engaging. The only other car that comes this close to matching this type of driving engagement is an Alfa Romeo Giulia. But at this price, 58 grand, you're getting a 4-cylinder turbo. You can't get the twin turbo 6 unless you're spending 80 or 90 grand. So honestly, the G70 is kind of few and far between. There's the BMW M340i, another great car. It just still, though, kind of feels like it's being driven by computers. The G70 feels a lot more analog than other cars, and I think that's the way to go. While the G70 has a stiffer suspension, I don't think it's overly stiff, truly, but it's not a comfortable ride day to day, even in the comfort mode. Dial it back. You'll feel more of the road all the time, which, as I was saying, makes for a much better driving experience. But if you want that cushy kind of commuter car experience to dial everything back, it won't be the G70. You're gonna have to go elsewhere. The G70 is not the quietest luxury car. Still a lot of tire noise coming through. The exhaust is preferable, I like that. But even though there's insulated windows and all the usual features, it's not quite as relaxing as some other competitors. But again, I keep going back to this. Every single time you go into a turn with this car, so satisfying. My goodness. So I don't really care if it's noisier. I'll deal with that. Because right down to the brake feel, it's pretty good. This car feels a little softer than I remember, but really, I just can't complain about this car. It just fits the bill. The G70 is handsome, it's taut, and it's not overwrought with extraneous lines and creases. It's an athletic looking car. It's a sports sedan exactly how it should be. And it's aging really well because since 2022, this front end refresh has defined the Genesis brand. Double bar LED headlights, this beautiful crosshatch grille. It looks like a home plate that's been stretched. And while that might seem exaggerated in the photos and videos you've seen, I swear in person, this car looks dynamite. Every G70 wears 19-inch wheels, but only the 3.3T trims wear red Brembo brake calipers front and rear. It's a nice distinction. Every G70 sits low. How low? It's significantly below my shoulder line, and I'm 5'11". That means that this car is low, it's purposeful, it's just as great looking from behind as it is from the front. Look at those double bar LED taillights and the large exhaust tips. Now the exhaust openings truly aren't any different from the 2.5T. This model has the active exhaust, but even though this is the Sport Prestige model, the best you can get, all the effects on here, the visuals aren't any different. So every single G70, from the bottom to the top, really looks extra sporty. The G70 has a really tight trunk. It's just under 11 cubic feet, but a power opening and closing lid, that is not something that you're often finding in the compact luxury class. The base car gets a big upgrade for 2024. It's now a 2.5-liter Turbo 4 instead of the 2-liter, so it's now called 2.5T, and the horsepower and torque are way up. Now this car, the horsepower and torque are still way up because it's a 365 horsepower twin-turbo V6 that really makes this car shine. Every single trim comes with an 8-speed automatic. The former 6-speed manual on the 4-cylinder cars, that's no longer available. Rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, your choice. And on this car, it's the Sport Prestige, and that means you're getting extras like Brembo brake calipers, you're getting a limited slip rear diff, torque vectoring, and adaptive dampers. That's a lot of actual really useful hardware. Now you're getting summer tires if you order the rear-wheel drive. All-wheel drive comes standard with all seasons. They're also pretty good. On this car though, and on the 4-cylinder, you're getting poor fuel efficiency. Check out the numbers for all the trims. It really isn't very good, but the driving experience really makes up for it. The G70 to me has the perfect seating position. It's low, it's very enveloping, and these sport seats in sport mode will automatically inflate the side bolsters. Plus, pretty good visibility for a small car. For 2024, the center stack is new. The shortcuts are now toggle switches instead of buttons, and the climate controls are now mostly on a touchscreen instead of 3 physical dials. Elsewhere on this top trim, you'll find quilted Napa leather, really nice stitching, overall great fit and finish. This is a classy interior. While it might feel slightly dated compared to all the screen-heavy interiors of other luxury cars, I prefer this one. You just get in and you're just so comfortable right away. The G70 almost feels like a subcompact sedan. There's hardly any room back here, both in headroom and especially tow room. I can't believe I have to use that word, but it's very tight underneath this front seat. And there's also no more heated outboard rear seats. This is the top trim. Genesis has removed that feature. The G70 has a 10.3-inch touchscreen that's modeled after Hyundai and Kia models. That's not terrible because it's using a unique color scheme, and navigation with 3 years of map updates is included, so that's nice. Plus, I like the fact that there's shortcut buttons down here. These are now toggle switches for 2024, but they look and they feel even better than before, and it's nice when you don't want to just have a touchscreen, including for volume and seek. I love the fact that Genesis still uses this. There's not a lot of in-car apps, but for example, if you want to change all of the driving settings, including a lot of the forward collision alert and standard safety systems, including highway driving assist on these upper models, you got tons of information there for you. This climate touchscreen, it looks nice. It's got haptic feedback and you can adjust the heated and the cooled seats. There's also other buttons nearby, but truly, this feels cheaper than before. I really like what Genesis used to do. So this really isn't an upgrade, it's just a difference. The G70 has a half digital instrument panel. It's 8 inches, also encompasses the tachometer, and it's got an analog speedometer, which I think looks better. So I wish they would just go one or the other. For example, you cannot see the highway driving assist in a big full screen mode. You see it here, but really it's no bigger than previous G70 models were with just the smaller screen. But the best feature, this. Blind spot monitoring and a live feed on either side of the mirrors. This is awesome, truly. The 2024 Genesis G70 starts at $41,500. There's 4 trims, each with a single option package. This is the 3.3T Sport Prestige all-wheel drive, priced $58,350 with destination. The G70 competes in a crowded field. The BMW 3 Series, Acura TLX, Lexus IS, Infiniti Q50, and even the Mercedes-Benz C-Class. But among those many, many competitors, it's the G70's driving dynamics that truly make it stand out. The G70 is still a spectacular sports sedan. It's not the most technologically advanced, it's certainly not the roomiest, but for compact sedans that drive really well, I'm talking about involving the driver, even when you're just cruising at 30 miles an hour around town, this car hits all the marks. Since it was introduced, and today, I love this car, and truly, it is helping Genesis build a brand and also beat a lot of the competition. I would still recommend this car. What do you think? Go to CarGurus.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Of course we will.